Let's
I
talk
like it.
about pain, baby. Let's talk about how to make money, because we're in higher ticket sales and the pain is where the money's at.
Wow.
That'll work.
Wow.
No little jingle.
We're keeping that in.
Yes, 100%.
Come on then. How'd you find the pain?
How do you find the pain? Well, it's a question that we get asked on pretty much, I was going to say daily, probably hourly basis.
Yep.
People get off calls. I couldn't find the pain. Why couldn't I find the pain? What's the magical question that's going to elicit this, emotional response? They're going to break down in tears. They're going to dump all of their dark secrets, and we're just going to, ragdoll them.
So
Doesn't
where
work
do
like that.
people go wrong?
By looking for complicated questions, I think they're trying to find these complicated questions to pull out pain from people. I think, and I'll speak from my own experience, where people go wrong is exactly that. You're too much in your script and you're not enough in the conversation. Now, when you're in the conversation, you're just having a good, honest conversation. You're actively listening, paying attention to your prospect. You will naturally find the pain. You will start picking up on it. For example, I reviewed a call the other day and the rep completely missed his prospect saying, I would love to own my own home again.
Hmm.
And I was like, we were reviewing it together. I was like, why didn't you, sort of say anything around that? And he was like, well, I didn't really sort of think it was that important. I was like, okay, listen to the words. She would love to own her own home again. So indicating she owned her own home previously. For most people, buying their own house, it's a sense of achievement. By the flip side of that, losing your house could be big emotional turmoil. Like, you don't know. She could have gone bankrupt. She could have just moved country. And, whatever it is, until we ask the question, we don't know. So we're here talking about like, oh, she's sick of office politics and all these things. Yeah, there's still pain there. But we talk about it. We're scanning the beach with a metal detector, looking for those loud bings. Those loud bings are the pain. Sifting through, the garbage that they tell us. Oh, actually, that's probably quite a big thing for you. Yeah? No? Your thoughts?
100%. 100% agree. 100% agree with everything. I think the big thing for me is when you're looking for pain is people miss the detail, and the devil is in the detail. Do you know what I mean? They don't go deep enough into, like past experience. What have you tried? How did that work? What came of that? If it didn't work, why didn't it work? And if you're doing something like if it's more of a B2B, right? Say it's a lead gen offer. Like, you've really got to understand, what is it you're doing now for lead gen? How long have you been doing that? How much a month do you spend on that? How many leads do you generate? Of those leads you generate, what's your show rate like? And of the people that show, what's your close rate like? And how much did you cash collect? And what was overall revenue? Because in that information, you're going to be able to go, shit, I see this guy's problem. He's generating leads. His show rate's okay, but his close rate's 5%. Bingo. Now, if you've got a program that teaches people how to close higher, like we have, then surely that information is going to be good. But so many reps don't. They go, well, what's the problem? Well, I want to get Facebook ads to work. Okay. Do you know how to make Facebook ads work? No, that's why I'm talking to you. All right. Well, what's your marketing budget? And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Let's get some detail, because there's a reason he's booked a call to talk about generating leads. And by going through that process, it would be very easy to figure out, okay, does he have a lead generation problem? Does he have a conversion problem? Does he have a show rate problem? Does he have a close rate problem? Does he have a cash collected problem? But unless you accurately diagnose what the problem is, you're not going to find any pain, which means you're not going to be able to tailor make the pitch on the back end as well. So the whole thing just falls apart. So for me, the devil's in the details. Get into the specifics so that you can, the big thing, right, is this. You're actually there to help them. We're closers, right? So are we there to close? Of course, that's how we make money. But the close happens as a byproduct of being able to help somebody. And helping somebody is understanding their current situation, being able to accurately diagnose the problem and what they need, and then tailor making a solution. Tailor making, like the pitch is always similar, but you tailor make it to their problem and their goal and their desire. That's what makes a great sales call end to end. But specifically, if we're talking about pain, that's where I think a lot of people miss.
Yep. And I think, again, from reviewing calls, people think they have the pain and then sort of think, that's it, I've got it. Now, using your B2B example, the pain is, surface level, I can't generate enough leads. I don't understand Facebook ads. Okay, we'll go deeper level pain from that. The business is failing.
Right.
Okay, deeper level pain from that. The business that they spent years thinking about, maybe they spent 20 years in the corporate world doing this for someone else to really high success, ideation, money going into it to build the business. Imagine the shame of that person if that business failed. Now, those are different levels of pain just in the current situation. Then you move on to what have you tried before to actually fix this? Well, there's going to be more pain there. Well, I've spent 6 months trying to figure this out myself. We've spent thousands of pounds on different marketing companies. We've done X, Y, and Z. More pain, more pain, more pain. So it's not just like, right, I've got this one pain and that's the only pain there is in this situation. We can always find more. And these little things slapped on top of the big thing, let's say we found the big thing at the start, it's just building our case stronger and stronger. But I think a lot of people, yeah, they do glaze over it, or they don't actually understand what pain is in the first place.
Right.
So picking up on it is hard. Now, one of the sort of things that I got this particular episode that I was saying about, I was like, go away and study this weekend the ideal client avatar. Who is it that we actually help? Okay. Typically, they're people that are 40 to 50, they've worked in this career type. Spend a bit of time with ChatGPT. Get into that person's psyche. What do they want to achieve? What do people just typically in that age range, what do they worry about?
Mm.
Well, it's going to be pensions. It's going to be self-worth. It's going to be validation. It's going to be, can I look after my kids? Can I pay off my mortgage?
Yeah.
Okay, how can we use that deeper level understanding to understand who that person is? And I don't think a lot of companies spend a lot of time doing this. They think, well, I think I understand their pain. I think we've got a solution. Surely that works. We just marry them up. And it's like, okay, just go like 100 levels deeper. I'm not saying go to them and say, what are you worried about not being able to pay your mortgage off in time? Because they'll be like, dude, what the fuck? But have it back in mind that these are the things the people that you help actually worry about.
Yeah. It's
Improve your understanding of meeting them where they're at.
yeah, the difference of demographics, but also psychographics. Like
Yeah.
psychographic, if you're planning out an ICP, an ideal client persona, psychographic is the thing that gives you all the source. That's like, what does this person struggle with? What are their fears? What are their desires? What are they, what do they want ultimately out of life? What keeps them awake at night? That
Mhm.
stuff is super important. And it's important in marketing. It's just as important on a sales call. If you're not finding that, if you're not uncovering that, and you would never ask, oh, what keeps you up at night? Like, you just wouldn't ask a fucking wanky question like that. But it's important.
Mhm.
You've got to get into that. And again, that comes down to specifics. People stay too surface level. They stay on the top. Oh, I'm struggling with Facebook ads, like you said. Bingo, I've got the pain, dude. You're nowhere near the pain. That's you combing the beach with the metal detector, and you hear it beep. That indicates that there's some gold underneath that area. So that's the point where you put the metal detector down and you pick up the shovel, and instead of going wide and sweeping the beach, you go deep. That's the biggest challenge I think people run into is they don't get enough specifics. They don't go
Yeah.
deep enough on the problem.
And if we want to talk about magical questions, building the gap, this is essentially what it's all about. We find the pain, we build the gap between who they are right now today and who they want to be in the future when this problem doesn't exist. The magical question, if we do want to talk about what questions are actually good for, these magical questions, tell me more. Just you find something that you're like, I think that probably sounds like a big issue to that person. I don't need to come out with paragraphs to try and justify me asking more questions around that. Just go, okay, when you said that, tell me more.
Yep.
Okay, when you said that, tell me more. And then, they'll just sort of start dumping their deep, dark, dirty secrets off of the back of, tell me more, because that sounded quite important to you.
They can't help but do it. You're 100% correct. Tell me more. When you said that, what is it you mean exactly? Okay, that just, if I can pause you for a sec, John, that sounded kind of important to you. Tell me a little bit about that. Like all of these different phrases, they're prompting questions. Do you know what I mean? You're just prompting more information. And it's wild how well that works. You don't need a clever word track. You don't need some unbelievable question. You just need to ask them to tell you more. Yeah, we struggle with Facebook ads. Okay. All right, struggle with Facebook ads. Well, tell me a bit more about that. Oh, mate, we've been trying to run Facebook ads for 6 months and we've spent this much and they've not converted into, and they'll just give you everything. And it's like, and then from there, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. Bloody hell, mate, you've been running Facebook ads for 6 months. Have they been profitable at all in the last 6 months? No, we haven't had a single profitable month whilst we've been running them. So how much money have you lost over the last 6 months? No, dude, we've been spending 10K a month. Dude, if you spent 60 grand and not made anything back, can I ask a bit of a blunt question? Yeah, sure. What are you running on? How are you keeping the business? How are you keeping the lights on at home? Dude, I'm not. I'm like, if I don't figure this out, I'm going to go fucking bankrupt. Now we've got some pain, right? But people just don't fucking go there.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things that unfortunately is missing from a lot of closers at the minute, and I don't say this as a dig, is just emotional intelligence. It's being able to actually understand the people that they are trying to help. They don't understand them to a deep enough level. And we talk about this all the time. There are people online who make this sound like you just need word tracks to be successful. That couldn't be further from the truth. If you cannot connect with people, I mean, we talk about the belief ladder, right? The framework we use, pain, doubt, costs are money, support, and trust. Trust is not a set of, well, it is caveat. It's not a set of questions that you ask or, oh, have you seen our case studies, testimonials? Have you seen X, Y, and Z? Do you trust us? That's not how it works. It's asking, tell me more. That sounded important to you. I just want to understand, why is that important? And the person on the other end of the Zoom goes, fuck, this person sees me. They hear me. They actually understand what is important to me. Contrast that with, I've had a really good conversation with this person. They see, hear, understand me, to, oh, here's our testimonials and reviews of people that you don't know, could be AI generated.
Right.
Who do you, as the prospect, probably feel more likely to give your hard earned money to?
And being willing to challenge as well. When
Willing to
somebody says
challenge.
something out of alignment, yeah, we need, keep using the same example, somebody that needs to run Facebook ads to generate traffic. Yeah, we just need more traffic. Then you go into the details, you break it down, and in your head, you go, dude, you've got a shitload of traffic, but none of it's qualified. So you actually don't need more traffic. What you need is a better creative to bring in the right people. And it's about being willing to challenge them and go, John, look, I 100% appreciate that you think you need more traffic. I'm going to challenge you on that level of thinking, and I'm going to say that you've got all the traffic you could ever want. The problem is that the people you're speaking to are not your ICP, which means you've got a creative problem. You do not have a traffic problem. And then they're like, oh, fuck. Now you've got massive trust and massive credibility because as the closer, you're able to see their blind spots that they cannot pinpoint themselves. And that's really important for you to be able to say, I'm going to challenge you on that, and here's why. You
Yeah.
generated 5,000 leads last month. I'd say you've got all the traffic in the world. Yeah, but none of them are qualified. Exactly. So you don't have a traffic problem. You have a quality problem, which comes from your creative. Fuck. Shit. You're right. Now you're the person in authority because you've literally just kind of solved a mini problem for them right there. So it's being willing to challenge builds massive trust. And
Yeah.
and being positioned as the authority, and the way you position yourself as an authority is not by sitting there and browbeating somebody and being a dick. The way you position yourself as an authority is being able to see their problems that they can't.
Yeah.
You know?
It's seeing their problems, being willing to challenge, and asking the uncomfortable questions. If you
Mhm.
want to accelerate your commissions as a remote salesperson, high ticket closer, whatever you want to call yourself, if you are not comfortable getting uncomfortable, you are never going to make any decent amount of money. You might make 3, 4, 5K. You are not going to make the big flashy money that you see on Instagram. You've got to be willing to challenge people. Like, I put up a video of one of my sales calls the other day, and I asked the guy who was making like 800 quid a month. And his big pain for him was that, well, one of his big pains was the way that his girlfriend saw him. She's obviously got a level of expectation around the sort of lifestyle she wants to live, who she wants him to be, he's making 800 quid a month and not able to take her out and do the things that she wants to do. And I asked him the question, I was like, what does your girlfriend think about you making 800 quid?
Difficult question to ask.
That's a, that's a difficult question. That could go one of two ways. If you haven't built a lot of trust, they could turn around and go, who the fuck do you think you are
Yeah.
asking me a question like that? But because we'd had such a good conversation, I'm like, look, I'm here to help you, dude. He was just like, I think the response was this can't be my life. And it's just like, cool. Obviously he closed. He didn't have, it was the £500 a month payment plan, whatever it was. So it's not like I made a huge amount of commission off of it. I don't care, really. I've helped that person. He's going to change his life. Not everyone's going to have huge amounts of money. Sometimes, shock, horror, contrast again to another Instagram opinion that you can 100% paid in full close absolutely everybody. You can't. I helped him. I asked him the difficult questions. I built trust. We built pain. Now, another person might have completely missed that. If you're not comfortable asking comfortable questions, I wouldn't have got that level of pain from him.
No,
I wouldn't have got the answer. This cannot be my life.
it's huge.
You've got to ask difficult questions. You've got to be willing to. I'm not going to say you've got to be willing to piss people off sometimes. You never want to piss people off, but you've got to sort of ask
You've got to
questions
be
and
willing to
sometimes
ask
stick
questions
to
that
that
might
line.
piss them off.
Yeah. You've got to be willing to walk that line very carefully of like, I'm acutely aware this question could go one or two ways, but for me to get the level of answer I need, I've got to fucking ask it to help this person.
Well, get this. I had a conversation with a closer last week, and they said, "Yeah, I don't really want to ask those kinds of questions." And I said, "Okay, why not?" And the closer said exactly that. He said, "Well, I don't want to offend him. He might think I'm being a bit of a twat." And I said, "Okay, so you're being a selfish bastard then?" He went, "What? No." I said, "I didn't want him to think I'm a twat." I said, "Exactly. Listen to what you're saying. You don't want him to think a certain way about you. So you're more focused on how you feel than you are on helping that person overcome a limiting belief or get through their shitty situation." I said, "You have to eliminate you from the conversation. It doesn't matter." And the analogy I used at the time was this. I said, imagine you've got a buddy who's going down a really bad road, maybe, drink or drugs or something, like just doing something out of alignment with the person they want to be. This is the difference between being nice and being kind. Right? Being nice is being nice to them. "Ah, bud, you'll figure it out. You'll be all right. Yeah, you'll be fine, mate. You'll figure it out." Or should you have a kind conversation? "Josh, you might not like what I'm about to tell you, mate, but I feel compelled as your mate to tell you. You're going down a bad road here, dude, and I'm fucking worried about you." Right? That's a hard conversation to have. But even though I think in my head, like, shit, if I have this conversation with Josh, he could tell me to go and do one and we're no longer going to be friends. I have to be willing to do that because that's what's best for him. That's the difference between being nice and being kind. And closers would do much better if they just decided to be kind and stop being so fucking nice. You're not there to be nice. They've got friends and family around them that are nice to them. Your job is to get them a result and effect some change and take them through a process where you are willing to challenge their mindset and their status quo. And if you're not willing to do that, then I would challenge anybody listening to this that you are probably in a situation where you're more worried about what they think of you than you are concerned with helping them.
Yeah, 100%. I got brought onto a team in the last week, helping them with their clothing, consulting. And the off owner said to me, he was like, Josh, I was with the other closers. He was like, do you give a fuck if someone tells you to fuck off at the end of a call? I was like, no. I was
No.
like, if anything, that's a really good result for me. If someone was to actually tell me to fuck off, that is a concrete no. Now, there's a couple of reasons they could tell me to fuck off. One, I've been an arsehole and I've asked really bad questions. And
You're from Essex.
I'm from Essex. I'm just a bit of a brush, geezer, all that sort of stuff. But I would love for someone to tell me to say, yes, no, fuck off.
Yep.
And if they tell me to fuck off, I've done my job well because I have challenged them. I have challenged their worldview. I have challenged the bullshit that they've been telling themselves for years that's kept them stuck. If they don't like that, if they want to carry on buying into that, and the cost of inaction means absolutely nothing to them, that's absolutely fine. I've got better things to be doing. It's my job to hold up that mirror. Okay. You've got to be willing to ask the uncomfortable questions. And we're going to keep this episode quite short because we can't stress this enough. Pain is the biggest thing. If there's no pain, there's no sales. There's no problem. There's nothing for us to offer a solution to.
So
So
there's
if
nothing
you
to
are
fix.
struggling, yeah, you can't fix it. You cannot fix it, a problem that isn't there. But yeah, if you are a rep that is struggling, pain, problem, whatever you want to call it, is the biggest area you have got to focus on right now. You could forget doubt, cost, desire, money, support, trust. You could do a really terrible job of them. If you can, take a chunk, you can take a bite out of this person's pain because you just intrinsically, physically can hold it in your hands, understand it. Well, then you can probably find a solution that's going to work for that person, right? If you
Not
want
gonna
to
lie.
learn, High Ticket Sales Academy is where it's at. Shameless plug. We are closing the doors currently. Whenever you listen to this podcast, they may be back open, but we've got too many people getting too many fantastic results. We are massive on community, so we're sort of slowing the wheels on our growth a little bit just to make sure that we are giving people the level of support that they actually need and deserve to succeed in the space. But you may be listening to this in, 2035. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Go on, you sing us a song to sing us out. I did the
There's
intro
no
song,
way
you
I'm
do the
singing you a
outro song.
song to sing us out. That would be horrific for you, me, and everybody, all 3 people listening to this podcast. But if you do want to check out High Ticket Sales Academy, then it will be in the show notes. Like Josh said, doors may or may not be open at the time of recording whenever you're listening to this. But we'd love to see you in there. If you need to elevate your skill set, we are there to serve you.
Well, I'll just one add on to that. Yes, the skill set is massive, but yeah, we've said it before, we'll say it again. We are massive on community. The world of working remotely can be a very different, weird, and wonderful sort of an adventure. Going it alone when you sort of work from a home office can be a bit of a transition. So having the people in your network that are there to support you, uplift you, hold you accountable can be massive. We've all heard the saying, you are the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you want to start spending your time with people that are on the same mission as you, let's go.
See you next time.
See you next time.